So should you waive an appraisal as a contingency on your sales contract, and is that allowed with a mortgage? Should you is a let me put it this way. Having an appraisal specific contingency, at least in Florida, on the Florida FAR contract, is not necessary. The reason for that is you have a financing contingency already built into a sales contract, right? So you can put a specific additional appraisal contingency on the contract that says, let's just say, here's some random numbers. You're buying a house for $600,000. The appraisal contingency could say, if the house does not appraise for $600,000, then you have a right to cancel the contract, right? That is a little bit of a redundancy because you already have a financing contingency attached to that sales contract, which says that if you are not able to obtain financing, then you have a right to cancel the contract, right? The reason that this is redundant is because a lender who is giving a loan based on a sales price of $600,000 in this example needs to see that the collateral, in order to make that loan, they need to see that the purchase price is supported by the appraisal. So having an additional appraisal contingency attached to that contract, it gives you like a little bit more of a clear cut out. But for example, let's say that you do not have an appraisal contingency, a specific appraisal contingency on that sales contract, and the house appraises for $550. That lender, in order to approve the loan, is going to require a signed statement from the buyer that says, I understand that I am purchasing this house for $50,000 more than its market value, and I am okay with that, and I'm okay with paying cash for the difference. Without that specific signed statement, the lender will deny the loan. So in that example, if you do not have an appraisal contingency, even if your loan is 100% approved on every other condition besides the appraisal, and the appraisal comes in short, if you don't want to buy that house for $50,000 more than what it appraises for, or $1,000 more, or $50 more for what it appraises for, the lender will not approve the loan without that written statement. You will have a loan denial, which will in turn give you an out of the contract. So as far as a specific appraisal contingency in Florida, in my opinion, it is not necessary. Now, should you specifically waive the right to an appraisal, and this is something that we don't really see now, but we saw on almost every single deal during COVID, where people would say, hey, I'll pay up to $50,000 more or $20,000 more than whatever it appraises for. People were paying above market value because it was just impossible to keep to keep property on the market, right? Like there were bidding wars above and beyond, lines out of open houses, just crazy stuff. So, would I personally do that right now the way the market is? Absolutely not. There's really no situation where, you absolutely need to be waiving the right to have that as part of your loan contingency. Are you allowed to? Absolutely. You can do whatever you want as far as that. The only thing that it's going to do, if you waive that, is, let's say in this scenario that you do have $50,000 short appraisal, you will not have the right to cancel based on that. Now, there's some legal technicalities where even if you did specifically, waive that, you may be able to still kind of weasel out of it based on the fact that you can't get a loan if you don't have sufficient assets to make up the shortfall. Like, there are some things that might get handled in arbitration. But most of the time, in today's market, it's really unnecessary. Most sellers don't have the expectation that you're going to do that, with the exception of some very competitive, vacation-related properties, or people that are really only entertaining cash offers, or if you're competing with a cash offer, and you're willing to make up whatever shortfall comes into play. That might be a strategy, but for the majority of normal homes that people are buying to live in, it's really not necessary in my experience with what's going on. So can you? Yes. Should you? It depends. Probably not. Maybe. There's really no right answer. to this. That's gonna be a part of your strategy with your real estate agent when you're formulating an offer to place on a home.